just like Dr. Farquan Kumar mentioned, as a foreign graduate student. And in 1963, I became a faculty member at Columbia University. And there, in those days, they did not know how to pronounce our names. And therefore, I was given a name by my colleagues. They said, we'll call you Jag, as in Jaguar. And ever since that association, I've been dreaming of owning a Jaguar with a license plate, Jag's Jag. Why not, right? And the dream became a reality 18 years ago when I turned 60. I'm 78 now. Do I look 78? That's because in marketing, the most important function is packaging. Which has a direct relevance to tourism, which I will connect the dot. Marketing is all about packaging, presence, and presentation. We'll come to that in a moment. True story, I have two grown-up children, both married, and they surprised me on my birthday. I come from old generation where we don't celebrate birthdays. One more day. Saturday morning, I went out to get my newspaper, turned around and saw this beautiful Jaguar XJ model, top of the line, color even I like, parked in the driveway with a handwritten license plate, Jag's Jag, happy 60th birthday. It was a rental car, unfortunately. So I'm still looking for my Jaguar. At this age, you can adopt me as your grandfather. I don't care. But I would like to have my Jaguar, okay, before I cannot drive a car, right? Interestingly. I do want to focus on India's tourism. I did not know the numbers, but tourism in 2015 was a $120 billion industry. It employed 37 million people, jobs, and official employment like an employer employs mostly contract work. 90% of the industry on contract basis. It's about 3 million people. It's very fascinating that it is growing at 7.5% annually, and by 2020 it'll be $270 billion, which will be probably bigger than the IT services industry. Tourism, transportation like railways, flying, etc., and telecommunications always have been foundations of nations in terms of job opportunities, employments, and all three are services sector. I just want to mention it. So I began to think about the data that are out there and look at the shares. Domestically we had, and I was again very surprised, we had already within India 1 billion tourists in 2015 again. That's mind-boggling numbers. So we have the scale, we have the size, but not the scale, which is where the fundamental transformation has to take place in the tourism industry. Internationally, just like the international scholars or students, our ratio is very low. Only 8 million tourists came here from abroad with a foreign passport. I presume that will be the way to count them as international in some fashion, which was interesting. So we still have an enormous opportunity to focus outside the country for tourism, not just inside the country. I began to look at the IT services industry because Hyderabad is one of the biggest hubs for IT services besides Bangalore and Delhi maybe or NCR area. IT industry is highly organized. Tourism is highly unorganized even today. Very much an informal economy. IT services earns higher wages per employee, the starting salary as a measure. That is not the case. The wage employment in tourism is lower wages generally. There is a gender balancing in IT services. You see more and more women as professional services at the BPO level at least, call center, but rising toward every level primarily, including leadership level, you don't see as much gender diversity in the tourism business, which are all the potentials in terms of what one can do. Interestingly, we find that while tourism has the same size, because the dollars count, number of people are about 3 times more than IT services, it does not have scale. Whereas if you take the top 5, 6 IT services companies, Wipro, where I sat on the board till last July, we now have about 130,000 employees. TCS would have even 200,000 employees. So would have Accenture, which is probably the largest employer last year in this country among all IT services, a foreign multinational. So they seem to have learned how to scale up the industry, which is very fascinating. So that's one more thing I found. The industry IT services is export oriented, whereas the tourism is much more come here, right? I cannot go out there. There are possibilities with artificial intelligence, virtual reality, it's happening with digital technology, but that's interesting. In this case, the fundamental difference is that when the tourists come here, we are the host, they are the guests.